Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Poker Dealer Podcast. Today's episode, I have my barber, Javier. His business is Kinship. And today, Javier is going to do a before and after cut of Trey. Trey's going to get his hair cut. And go ahead, let's look at Trey's hair real quick.
This is what the hair looks like before. Super overgrown.
Javier, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. So let's just get started. How did you get into cutting hair to begin with? Like, how old were you? What motivated you to just get into this kind of industry?
Man, I was in school for I was doing school for like heating and air conditioning, but like that's something I really didn't want to do per se. More like your parents wanted me to do type of thing, and a buddy of mine one day was just there like, man, you should try cutting hair, and I was just messing around with it for a little bit, and then one day, I just had like that epiphany where I said, oh man, I'm pretty good at this. Like, when you see that light, like I could do this for a living, and,
Right.
So
How many cuts like in were you like, okay, I know that this is actually what I want to do now?
I want to say like just messing around. Like I didn't do that many cuts, but just like one cut, like just messing around. But just when you just doing it, like I always had like bad anxiety and bad like nerves and stuff like that. But I always feel like when I'm cutting, like my whole body relaxes, and like my anxiety, like stress, all of that like just goes out the door, like out the window, like. When I'm in like my domain, you could say like I'm just like focused, I'm relaxed, I'm not thinking about like home or like anything outside of the barbershop. I'm just focused on like who's in my chair, and just that relax. It just feels so good.
Did it take a while to have that feeling, or you got it like pretty much right away when you started?
Nah, not right away. It takes a little bit, because then you get the other nerves where like you're starting out, and like you get new clients that you never cut before. Because sometimes when you cut somebody for the first time, it might not come out. Like if I cut him multiple times, because everybody's hair is like a fingerprint. Everybody's hair grows different. Everybody's hair is different. Texture, the way it lays down. Calyx, all that type of stuff. So
I like that, like a fingerprint. I've never heard hair described like that before. So
yeah. So like I always tell people, like, if it's my first time cutting you, like, and for some reason, y'all don't like it, at least give me the opportunity on the second time to, try to see your feedback, and then, try to work on that and, fix them things up.
Do you ever see somebody like with a certain shaped head or face, and they want to cut that you don't really think is going to fit that? And
Yeah, and part of our job is to kind of like, because some people don't know like what suits them, because a lot of people don't know like really their hair, so like, our job is to try to teach them and show them, how to style it, how to like maintain it, how to take care of it, and what would suit them. Because somebody might come, like you could come in and bring me a Brad Pitt picture and say, hey, I want my hair to look like this, but you might not have the Brad Pitt hair. So like I would tell them, maybe this ain't like, it's a good cut. I can get you somewhere close to it, but maybe this way would make it look better.
So what makes a great barber versus just a good barber, or just a good one?
Man, I say continue education, man. The industry's always changing, always new stuff, better equipment coming out, new styles. Always, I'm a big believer that, you can always keep learning something, doing the same thing. Like, you might bump into somebody and he might do a cut that you can do, but they might have found a way to do it, 5 minutes faster than you, or like they might skip a step, that you really don't need. So
Literally cutting corners.
No, because there's different forms of cutting. There's some people that cut with shears, that they can do like the whole haircut with the shears, clip over comb. Like there's so many different types of techniques that.
What what's yours? Clippers or scissors?
Oh man, I always say I'm well rounded. Like I could do both. I mean, I'm only saying that from what people would tell me, because I get people that come, like 2 hours away, up to 2 hours away, and I always tell them, man, you coming all the way over here, driving 2 hours to come see me, and they always say, I can always go to one bar, like I can go to a different location, and like either they know how to do clippers but no shears. Or shears and no clippers, but they said like I always like coming here because, you're good with both. So, but when I started, I was predominantly like a clipper person, and then over the years, shears is where the money's at. If you can cut with shears, because a lot of people can't. So, I spend a lot of money on my craft, trying to get better. I went from having like $100 shears to like now I got like $1,000 shears. So,
How much do you think all your equipment's worth?
my shears alone is about 10 grand.
Oh my God.
Like my
I
collection.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Like if you would have told me before you just said $1,000 shears, if you would have said 1,000, I would have been shocked. That's
so I
way
got
more than I thought.
So mine's about 10,000. I probably got like the best shears in the game, but it's the quality.
How long have you had them?
Now I probably had them like 8 years now with
Oh,
the
wow.
same company. Yeah, with the same company.
And how often you got to like either sharpen them or replace them?
I don't know, like maybe like once a year I get them sharpened, but they're like they're considered like the Bugatti of shears.
Wow.
So it's a good feeling. But before, people used to make fun of me when I like when I bought my first set, they were like 2,800. Just two pairs of shears was like 2,800, and everybody was making fun of me, like, I can't believe you spent that much on these. And I always just told them, I said, I could see the difference. I can see from the cheaper kind to the better kind. You can see the difference of how much better the cut comes out, how much smoother, and how much easier the cut is.
So it's not the shear that makes the barber, though. Would you say that like you got to be a good barber if you're gonna? I mean, could a good barber still use like cheap shears and make a good cut?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Or are you using your shears as a crutch? Got to be honest.
nah, because
let
I can
everyone
cut.
know.
I can cut with with anything. It's just my preference of the way the final product looks. Like like I could still give him a good shears because I was cutting Frank with the bullshit before. So but
How long you been cutting his hair?
man, over 10 years now.
Wow.
Has it been 20? I want to say, was it like 2015 or earlier than that?
Yeah, like something like that.
And how did you find him? Or
What was the name? It was Ed's Barbershop in Fishtown.
Yep.
And I would go there. I think that was probably since 2013, I want to say. And then, I don't know, I would go to Hav, or I would go to Brendan, if you remember Brendan.
My boy.
And then Brendan kind of just like disappeared, and then so I just started going to Hav like every single time.
It's been a while because I know my location on Allegheny. I'm going on 9 years with that spot, the one on Allegheny. So it's been a while now.
Yeah, actually, there was a mix. There was a couple other barbers that I went to. Went to one in like Langhorne. I think Cuts by Alexander. I don't know if you know that guy. Good dude, really great dude. Good shop. My old roommate, his brother used to work there, and so like, I went to him a couple times. I went to some other barbers at the shop a few times, and one time my roommate's brother, I told him like I wanted basically a one on the sides, like faded, and keep longer on the top. And I guess he wasn't paying attention to what I said exactly. So I just remember him taking the clippers and just right down the center. And I was like, dude, did you just do a 1 down the middle of my head? And he was like, yeah, you said you wanted a 1. I'm like, no, man, I said I wanted it on the side. And then the owner of the shop, he's right next to his chair. And he's like, yeah, I heard him say that and everything. And so he felt really bad, but he was like, I promise you, I'm going to make this look amazing. I'm going to make this look as great as I possibly can. And so I gave him whatever. What else can I do at this point, right? I have to take it.
You baldy now.
Right. So here's the thing. I was really annoyed and upset when he first cut it. I didn't leave him a tip either because I paid for my cut, but I'm like, I was still so upset that I was like, I can't give anything extra for this. This is like the first time I ever did that. However, after like a week, when I started getting used to it, I was like, actually, he did a really great job. Like it looked really good. It was not the first time I had my head shaved. The last time was like middle school, right? So this was really the first time in my adult life that I had my head shaved. But after about a week and a half, I actually started to like the way it looked. So I want to give props to him that it actually did turn out okay. And, you know, if I get a cut from him again in the future, I'll make up for that tip, definitely. So anyway,
So you see, he's saying he's gonna step out on me already. You hear that? Yeah. Man, yo, what a guy.
What's the worst cut you've ever had or given someone, or someone maybe giving you the worst experience for you as a customer, or just maybe the worst cut you've ever given someone, like if you could be honest?
Man, I had this one kid I still cut to this day. He's like in college now and everything, but when he was a kid, his mom brings him in, and he had like real curly hair, like real like like almost like a fro, but like the soft, like a soft fro curl type of thing. And I gave him a cut. He liked the cut, but that's not like what his mom wanted type of cut, And he was all happy with the haircut, walks outside, shows his mom, and his mom comes in, and his mom was in front of everybody. His mom just starts snapping. Mm-hmm. She's like, who the hell cut my son's hair? This ain't what I asked. Started, yelling and everything. She said, you ain't never cutting his hair again in here, da-da-da-da. And then one day I just reached out to him after a little bit, and I said, hey, you should, at least give me a second chance to.
How old was he?
At the time?
Yeah.
Like 10, 11, maybe like 10 years old.
And maybe. What, so you had he had a cell phone?
No. He came in one day, he sat with Brandon, and then when he got up, I went outside with him, and I was just there like, hey, his name is Rocco. I said, hey, Rocco, I know your mom was upset, with what I gave you, but, you should, I feel so bad that, that's not what I'm trying to do here. Like I'm trying to, give you quality, like a good service type of stuff. And, he finally, sat back down with me, and he been, with me the whole time. So,
How old is he now?
22 now, 21, 22 now.
So like 10 years.
He's a senior in college now, so he goes to Kent State. Every time he comes home from school, he always needs a haircut. I always still give him a haircut.
Yep. Do you have any like big celebs or well-known clients? And like if so, like
I got a couple. I had one guy, like his was another haircut. He was like in a rock band type of thing, but like their style was like a monk, like a hard, like a bowl cut type of cut, like like the mushroom type of hair, and that was like always weird when he would come in and he just wanted like kind of faded at the bottom, but he wanted like the crown to like.
So he still wanted one of the worst haircuts.
Like to look like a bow. And like I'm so used to making everything look faded in that, you know, I did it the first time, and he was like, "Man, the fade came out great, but I don't want it like to all blend in. I want like the crown to look like almost like a bow, like." And those cuts used to always throw me off because I said, "Man, yo, you gonna walk out the shop and people gonna be there like, man, who gave you that haircut?" You know, but like, you know, that was like their thing. That was like the band's look, you know. So like at the time, because you know I was still kind of like not newish. I was like newish, you know, had a couple years in, but like not as much as now. And it just like always threw me off every time he asked for that haircut, and I'm just like watching him leave, like, man, why they get this type of haircut for?
Yeah.
How long you been cutting hair?
Like 20 years now, man. 20 years.
Do you think there's any red flags for people like customers to be aware of when choosing a barber?
I always go with, people always gonna go where they feel comfortable at, you know, wherever they can sit inside and just feel comfortable. So, you know, I just try to make people feel, you know, comfortable when they come in. And I don't know, when I was growing up and going to the barber shops, you know, the things I hated, I tried not to like do.
Yeah,
Know?
I was
So,
just about to say there's probably something to do with how you would, how you remember going into barbershops as a kid or adult.
yeah. So, you know, sometimes you go, you know, you might go into a shop and it's like, depending on what shop you go to, like you can go into like, you know, like a all Hispanic shop, and then, you know, you could be like a white person or different, and then, you know, you might feel uncomfortable because they might look at you different. You know, like it's like if a you know a white person goes into a black barbershop and, you know, like everything stops because they're looking at you.
That's the cuts
looking,
by Alexander.
they
I
looking
mean,
at you like, yo, what this white boy doing in here, or like vice versa, because, you know, it goes the same for like, you know, a lot of time, a lot of barbers just feel comfortable like cutting their own people type of stuff, but, you know, I cut everybody. I got Asian, Indian, black, Hispanics, white. Like, you know, I always say I wanted it to be like a melting pot. You know, I don't care where you're from, where you come from. You know.
yeah, I think
like,
even I've gone to black barbers and black barber shops, and I never felt uncomfortable or awkward. I just, if there is like a look, I think really what they might be thinking is, all right, this person's here to get a cut. Nothing wrong with that. And they're going to try to give me a good cut that's memorable, to come
Yeah,
back.
but you know, I know some shops. So like the hardest hair to cut is like red and blonde hair. Like they're the hardest to cut because the way the sun hits it. So like, you know, I know some people, some barbers that don't like cutting that type of hair. You know, like they just, you know, they will refer somebody else. So like you say, you got red hair and you walk into a barber shop, and you might ask, "Hey, bro, you got time for me?" And they might look at you and say, "Oh man, I don't have time," and they might pass you off to like another barber they know, you know, can cut that type of hair. They, they would say, "Oh, I going to lunch or something," and, you know, pass.
So
You
that's
know,
like barber code, possibly. Like
yeah,
they won't.
some people do that. Like, you know, like they just, you know, but I'd rather them do that than, you know, especially if they work for me. Like, I'd rather them not cut somebody, because that's something I tell like my staff. I always tell them like, yo, if you don't feel comfortable cutting somebody's hair because you're not good at it yet, like, just say something, and like I would put them with somebody.
Yeah.
But, you know, as an owner, sometimes too, like when you get walk-ins, you know, at the same time, you got to know your staff. So, like, if somebody will walk in and say, "Hey, you know, can you cut my hair?" I'm going to try to direct them to the person, you know, that I know can cut their hair real good.
What is like some differences between like a barber and like a hairdresser? So as far as like, frosted tips or dye jobs and long hair, short hair.
So when we went to school, we kind of do everything like a hairdresser does. The only thing different from us and them is that they teaches us how to do straight razors, like how to do shaves, you know, like use a straight razor. Where like stylists don't use straight razors, so they don't know how to, and they don't focus a lot on men hair. They cosmetology. They got a course, but it's like a quick course. Like, while you're in the school, you probably do like, 100 hours, maybe 200 hours of barbering, and then the 1,050 hours you're doing it, like doing women hair, where like we do maybe like 500 hours of like doing all the other cosmetology stuff, and then the rest is like all barbering, razors, facials, like stuff like that.
What percentage of that is like your clients, like the other stuff?
I don't really do women. I do some women hair, but I don't do like, like the balayage. I don't do like highlights or nothing like that. But like cutting, like I could do shear cutting. I could do razor cutting if, I got people that want razor, like cut their hair with the razor. I could do stuff like that.
Is there a haircut trend that you wish would just go away or just die already?
The only big pet peeve I got, like, I don't like the square back, the round back. Like, I'm more like a fade guy. I like everything faded. It looks cleaner. It just lasts longer. Makes your haircut look cleaner.
So it's not really like any kind of style could have a different finish on the back, and you're saying you'd rather fade it out than just...
I'd rather fade it out. Before, I used to hate that, like, when people cut their hair all the way real tight, like all the way up to the part kind of, and then like just throw that hair over, it'd be like kind of bald, like real tight, like a baldish right here, and then they just got like that, and then like one side faded like that. I don't know. I feel like your haircut should be symmetric with your face, like somebody's looking at you, it should be like your hair is like all flowing nice.
If they could make that happen, if they have nice hair, what if they don't have the best hair? What if you just have to part it? You gotta, wear the white collar tie or whatever white collar job, and part your hair on the side.
Leave some hair right here. You can leave some hair there and still part it. Like, give it that, like, make yourself look fuller. Like, I don't know, it makes you look more grown up than, having it like that, I think.
Okay. What's the funniest thing you heard overheard while doing a haircut?
I just myself. Anybody ever say that?
No, but I had like people throw up in my chair.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
I had like people drunk, and I had
People nodding out?
Yeah, people, yeah.
Off
yeah.
them perks.
Yeah, I had when I first started, I was cutting somewhere like by rough area type of thing, but I was like new, like maybe I was like fresh out of school type of thing, and I started cutting, and started cutting this guy, and I didn't know what he was on, but all I know is he starts taking off his sneakers, his shirt. He's like saying he's hot, and like I do like half the haircut, and he just jumps up and he's like, "Man, this is a fabulous cut." Pays me and like leaves with like a half a cut, and I'm like, "Bro, I'm not even done with your haircut." He's like, "Nah, man, this is perfect." And like he's walking barefooted, no shirt on, and I'm just like, "All right, man, like I can't keep him here," type of stuff. But
You ever have to fire any customers? Like you don't want to cut them anymore? Or?
yeah, I feel like
He's tried to fire me, but then I made up for it.
I feel like you as an owner, a lot of owners, all money ain't good money, So like I always try to look at the overall of my clientele, right? So like I cut a lot of like corporate, people, like lawyers, doctors, like, cops, firefighters, So I try to like keep people where like I know like they're going to feel comfortable in there, right? So like I'm not going to bring somebody that is going to complain about my prices. Somebody walks in and I already know like, they're going to complain about my prices, or right away somebody comes in and they say, "Oh, how much is your haircut?" And I tell them my price, and they go, oh, well, you know, down here, I can go down here and get it cheaper. Like, why you so expensive? Or, you know, why you do this? And I just tell them, hey, go down there. Like, you know, these are my prices. You know, like, you don't like my prices, go down the street. I'm not making you stay here. Like, you don't have to get a haircut.
I hear you. I mean, that's a really good point. The way I look at it is I think a haircut is more than just, you know, does it cost this much or this much? Or like, is it $25? Is it $30? Is it $50? Is it $80 or whatever? I think it's what is your haircut? What does it mean to you? You know, how does your appearance, what's the value of that to you? It could be, you know, a first impression, a business meeting, an interview, a date, whatever it is, or some kind of special event, a special occasion. And if you have somebody that, you know, like, I don't think price really is going to matter by $5 or $10, right? If you're just looking for the cheapest price, then I feel like
Get your shit done under the L.
Yeah, no, listen, man, I always tell people that,
That's
man.
where I used to go.
I said, listen, man, you know, I spend my, you know, I try to give people, like, I always tell my guys all the time, like, you know, always treat people like the way you want to be treated. Give them the same type of service, like if it was you in the chair. So, like, I would never treat nobody or give somebody like a bad service because I wouldn't want it done to me. So, you know, like, I strive, you know, to, like, you know, do good service. And I think, you know, I've been doing good. I've been cutting, you know, majority of the same people for over 10 years. Like,
yep. How do you think you stand out in comparison to other barbers? Like, how do you try to stand out?
I would say, you know,
$10,000 shears?
no, I just say the work ethic. Like, you know, I feel like I go, you know, a little beyond, above and beyond for like my clients. You know, like
That is true. I could vouch for that. He definitely puts in extra time with me. Like, if he's got a packed schedule and I'm like, hey, I need to cut this week. You got any time? And he'll make time for me, whether it's working extra hours or fitting me in somewhere. Hav definitely does that. And I mean, that's not the reason why I stay with you, but that would be a reason why I don't go somewhere else unless I move to a different state or something, you know. But
You just have to fly back.
right.
No, but I always try to live up. You know, our name. You know, the name of our shop is called Kinship. You know, kinship means like family. You know, like an extended family in general. So, like, you know, I always try to treat them, you know, like I gotta stand. Like, you know, I always tell my clients, you know, if you ever need me out of here, you know, like outside the shop, you know, like I'm there for you. Like, you know, somebody to talk to, you know, just somebody to be there. So, you know, I get clients that will call me up and say, hey, man, you want to go have a drink? Like, I got a lot of shit on my mind. Like, I just need to vent and, like, need somebody just to talk to. And, you know, I could be laying down in bed and I just get up and get dressed and I say, yeah, man, I'll come talk to you for a little bit, you know.
Cool. You should go get your therapist degree, you know.
Well,
Then
you know,
you could
I
really
am kind
stand
of
out.
like a therapist as it is, you know. I got all the secrets, man. Like, but, you know, I feel like that's another thing that makes me good because I cut a lot of people in the same circle, right?
The Poker Dealer podcast is brought to you by the Poker Dealer School of Philadelphia. At Poker Dealer School of Philadelphia, we help you discover a path to financial freedom and stability. Do you feel overworked and underpaid? Stuck in a dead-end job? Wishing you could afford your own place, your own car, without drowning in debt or spending years in school? That's exactly what a career as a professional poker dealer can give you. With just weeks of training, you can step into an exciting, flexible career with great income potential. And here's the best part. You don't even have to quit your current job. We offer both day and night classes to fit your schedule. For more information, visit poker-dealer.com and schedule a call today. Your new future is waiting.
Okay, we're good.
All right,
Like
so
I would never
yeah.
tell like say, y'all a group of people, right? And you tell me, oh, Frank did this to me at work today, and then Frank comes in and says, hey man, Trey did this. Like I won't kiss and tell. Like I won't like go to you and say, oh man, yo, Frank was in. Yeah, Frank was in here. Yeah, like shit like that. Like I just stay, I stay quiet, and I feel like that's what made me tighter with the groups of people, because like they know, like, man, if I tell Hav something, like it's not like he's gonna go back and like say something, but I might like secretly try to help out the group, especially if it's like hurting the group. And some of these people I cut, man, I've been cutting them since they were young, and like their friends they're introducing to me, they grew up with them, like they like friends, like childhood friends. So like just me being in that group and like them letting me in the group. So when I start seeing the way they're acting, I might tell the one guy like, man, but because now I heard everybody's story. So I might go to the guy that, is really the cause of the problem, and I might say, hey, I think you're like, maybe you should like reach out to them, and like, especially if like one of them said, man, I miss this guy, like he ain't reaching out. And I might just say, yo, reach out to them, man. Like that been your boy since childhood. How you gonna give up all them years, of friendship, over a girl or over this or over that, And 9 out of 10 they listen, and then I see them a couple weeks later, and they all hanging out like back, back to normal. I always feel like, friendships are very rare nowadays. So I try to hold them. And I still talk to people that don't even come to my shop no more. Like either they moved or it's too far for them and they just chose to go somewhere else. I still reach out to them. I still talk to them, and I always tell them like, bro, like we built something outside the shop. Like just because you don't come to me don't mean like we're not friends. Like you can still reach out. You can still talk to me.
Yeah, I would think they would try to like avoid you. Like,
Yeah, no, some people do, man. Some people they feel, they feel like embarrassed, or they feel like, oh man, like you be walking in the grocery store and they see you, they like pull the car and go the other way, like, oh shit, Javi's here, like,
I went bald.
Yeah, and I'm just there, like, hey, bro, you don't gotta go nowhere. I'm right here, like, but it is what it is.
Do you have like an idea of like how many clients you have, like ballpark?
Nah, I got a lot though.
Yeah. How much time do you spend with like each client? Is it like an average, like?
It depends, anywhere from 30 to an hour, depending on
What they
like the
want.
service they want, the type of service.
Do you do like facials and stuff too, with a hot towel?
Yeah,
all
I
that?
do the hot towel, facial, hot shaves, all
All that
like
good
the
stuff.
old school stuff.
Have you ever like burned the back of somebody's neck after
Yes.
they asked you like, please don't,
Yeah,
like just
some people are like real sensitive when with the with the the alcohol and stuff like that. Some
all right. I can't really prove if Hob did this, but do you look at the back of my neck?
No, that's you.
But I wasn't born with that.
No. So some people have that like red shit on the back of their
Yeah,
neck.
that's kind of the way they sleep.
You
or
probably
something.
see it more than no.
Yeah.
It's just I think it's a genetic thing. Like a.
But
with
with Frank, he always wants to blame me for everything.
Yeah.
Frank's just.
I just remember I just remember getting the marks didn't exist prior to a haircut, and I don't know if it was him or not. I can't remember at this point.
How could a barber do that to you?
And he had
I
it
know
now
it
for
doesn't-
years now, and it's still my fault. It's still, you
I know
would
it
think,
doesn't-
You would think after like a bad years it would go away, but it's
It's still there. It's
As
still
poker
there.
dealers, we're used to being blamed for things.
Yeah, so I get blamed for a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
bet,
stuff
yeah.
with him too, man.
Yeah, but I can understand why I shouldn't blame somebody for something that isn't their fault, because that happens, like you said, as a poker dealer all the time. However, I know that this was from a haircut. I know it. It wasn't there before it. I just
I
got
bet
a
you
really
can
bad burn.
ChatGPT that and find out that it probably happens at like whatever
Yeah, just take a
age.
picture of it and chap it up.
I didn't
But-
consider that. Maybe a lot of other people have had similar burns.
I have the
on-
same like kind of birthmark thing on my face. Now we can edit that out.
All right. So what would you say? Like, I guess you were a barber. When did you decide, all right, I'm going to do not just this for a living, but I'm going to have my own barber shop? And not just when, but like not the day, but when did you feel like, all right, it's time for me to just do this my way and have my own shop?
Man, I had a buddy of mine, you know, that I met while I was cutting, and I've been cutting him, you know, since I worked at as too. But you know, for a while, he just kept telling me like, "Man, you should do your own shop," and you know, and I kept telling him, "Nah, I'm cool. Like, I'm making money. Like I don't really need a shop right now. Like you know, it's just easy. Like all I gotta do is go to work, cut, go home. Like I don't gotta worry about like nothing. I just do my thing and leave." And he kept telling me, and then the one day he invited me to his house on 4th of July, and his dad was there. And you know, they all like own their own business, like the family type of stuff. And you know, the dad comes up, shakes my hand, and you know, he's like, "Oh," he goes, "You know, such and such, you know, brought you here. He talks very highly about you." And then you know, he says, you know, everybody here is like basically people he grew up with. Like this guy never brings like people to the house type of stuff, you know. So he brings you here because he sees something in you, and he says like he been forcing you to, you know, open up your own shop. And his dad was like, "Look, man," he go, "everybody got an idea. Like everybody has an idea to do something." He goes, "It's all about putting your balls on the table." And he goes, "That's the one thing people don't got. Like, you know, people get scared, you know, of the unknown. Like, you know,
Stepping outside their comfort zone.
yeah, because you know, like you could be making 150,000 at work, and then you open up a business, you're not making that 150. You know, you're taking a drop because you know, business owners can make eventually whatever they want to make, but it's just the initial opening it up, starting it, like getting your brand out there, getting yourself out there, getting like your name out there, and that takes time.
You might have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward.
Exactly. So a lot of times, you know, people will open up a business and like a year, 2 years, they close it because, you know, they're making 60, 70,000, and they're there like, "Man, I'm just gonna go back to my company and just get back to making that 150 where I guarantee getting my money every week, guarantee I'm getting paid, getting benefits, you know, all that extra stuff." So
How much more do you enjoy being the owner versus working at somebody else's shop?
oh man, just the freedom, man. You know, just the freedom to spend with my kids. You know, like watch them grow. You know, have that leeway to just, you know, if my kids, you know, got something going on at school, like I don't got to answer to nobody. I can just go to their event, hang out with them, spend time with them, and watch them grow.
Yeah. So you don't regret then not starting your own shop because, like you said, like you were on the fence, and then your friend kind of invited you to the place.
Yeah, no,
and
man, this was the best, man. It's like, you know, the best feeling, man. You know, now, you know, because, you know, I got like 9 years now, you know, owning my own spots, you know, so, you know, that feeling is great, you know, like, you know, just to say that, man, like I kind of did it, you know, not like, the idea is to make it longer, but, you know, like we did it. Like,
yeah, I hear you. I mean, I have the school, right? I understand. It hasn't been 9 years or 10 years yet for me, but we'll get there.
But look at all the heartaches you went to, like getting all this started, right? You had to get the license, you had to do all that, you know, you were paying rent, you know, without having your business open. Those are all stress, you know, that's all like stress stuff, you know, that's like, you know, money going out the window and you're not making no money. So, you know, those are the things. But, you know, I always say, you know, when you have it for a while and you become successful, I feel like you respect your craft, you respect your business more just because you know everything you went through. Like,
And you respect other business owners
yeah,
at times
you
too.
know, like this shit ain't easy. Like, you know, you got to know your clientele. You gotta know how to read a room. You know, you gotta know how to like talk to people. You know, you gotta know how to just be professional, like, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, I feel like, you know, any business, you know, it's a lot of work. And some days, you know, it's hard. You know, some days it's hard. That's why I always tell my guys, man, always save for that rainy day. Because, you know, you never know what could happen tomorrow. So I try to tell my guys to invest, you know, like myself, you know, I got my own retirement plan, like a 401k that I set up, you know, life insurance, stuff like that, you know.
Other like what kind of with what you're saying, what other tips for barbers would you say, or like would you ever recommend? When would you recommend a barber to open up their own shop?
All right, so right now I'm in the fence because like now a lot of people are like, some people like graduate school, right? And like right away they want to open up the shop either because they got money, you know, their family got money, they got this or that. But I never like tell people to do it like that because like, especially if you finish school, right? 'Cause if you finish school, like what do you really know, right? So just you being in a shop with other barbers, like they going to push you, right? Because you might go, like I might graduate today and say I open up my own shop. I don't got nobody pushing me, right? Because like now you're the boss, right? You're hiring people, you know what I'm saying? So you might hire people that you went to school with, you know, people you were cool with at school, and you're like, yo, I want to open up my shop. And then now you got 3 other guys that all graduated with you. And then now, like, what is it y'all really teaching each other, right? I try to tell people, like, you should at least work somewhere for a couple years, right?
And you could also learn from the other, you know,
Learn from
coworkers.
someone, right? So, like, when I went to Edge, you know, I was already cutting for like 2 years, right? But I knew I wasn't good with shears. I knew he was. I knew I could fade. I knew I could do anything with the clippers, right? But I knew with the shears, like I wasn't that good with them. So, you know, when I went in, I told him, hey, you know, I know you're beating me over the head with these percentages and everything, but you're going to show me something that eventually is going to be way better than me taking this loss right now, basically. And, you know, when I went in there, that's the one thing I told him. I say, you know, don't lie to me. You know, if I do a bad cut, I'm a grown man. You know, tell me, teach me. You know, like that's the only way I'm going to learn. So, and he did. And, you know, he taught me a lot, you know, and I learned more, you know, going to like classes, going to like, you know, expos and stuff like that, going to classes and picking up like different techniques, different trends, you know, then, you know, you make yourself better. But I knew I was good when like I had like a barber that he wasn't cutting no more, but he was like an old timer, like cut for like maybe 50 years. And he came into the shop for, I probably did his, like his haircut 6 times. And I never knew this guy was like a barber, like
Was it the guy in Port Richmond? That guy that had at his house, he would cut people's hair.
No,
and he
this
was like the oldest or one of the oldest people still cutting hair. He was in Port
this
Richmond.
wasn't him. No,
Okay. You know who I'm
this is
talking
Rich.
about?
Yeah, he passed away. He was cutting for like 50 years. He was like a good, but no, this was like another older guy, and I remember he came in. His hair was very hard to cut because of the pattern of his hair. So he never went to nobody else. He always went to Ed at the time. Like Ed was like the only one that ever cut his hair. Like he never sat with nobody else. Like he would come in, he would wait. You know, he said, you know, like they had their relationship, and then towards the end, he just started sitting with me, and I was like pretty shocked. Like I'm there, like, whoa, this dude like sitting with me, and then like one day, you know, he tells me, hey, you want to step outside real quick? And you know, I stepped outside, and
He tried to fight you?
no. He just said, hey, you know, I just wanted to talk to you, and he was like you're ready. You know, he shook my hand. He said, yo, you can go anywhere in the world, and Like, you can cut anybody's hair. Like, you've been, like, because he just seen the growth. You know, he seen me from when I started there, and he just seen how much better I got. So, you know, and that felt like a good feeling, you know, like, you know, and I had clients like that where, you know, they went from no tips, you know, $2 tips, $5, to eventually better tip because they seen it. And then I get clients that would say that, like, man, Jav, you came a long way. Like, man, from the time you was cutting to now, you know, those are all feelings as a barber that, you know, you like to hear, because that means, like, all your work. It's like anything, you know, like if you're playing sports, anything you're doing.
You got the validation that you need.
Yeah, and that's all you want. You want your peers, like people, like, you know.
There should be like a prefix to, like, it's like expert barber or like master
Yeah.
barber.
So like the other day, I just cut this guy that moved up here from Miami. You know, he just moved up here. I started cutting his hair, and right away you know, I start cutting, like I'm finishing up, and you know, he said it. He goes, man, you've been cutting for a long time, ain't? And I was like, yeah, like 20 years. He goes, man, I can tell, man. He goes, like, you're like a master barber, like, you know, because that's the way he felt. Like, I didn't say nothing. He just felt like that because he was like, you know, the way you're paying attention to the detail, like taking your time, you know, making sure, like, the cut is right type of thing, you know, and, you know, stuff like that makes you feel good. Like, you're there, like, all right, I'm doing a good job. Like, I got this.
Yeah. All right. How about is there anything else you want to add before we get started on Trey's hair, and you know, and then you could, you know, show us what exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
you know,
man, come check us out, man. We're at 600 East Girard in Fishtown, right caddy corner from Craftworks. Our other location is at
I'm gonna add your name.
2538 East Allegheny in Port Richmond.
So you have 2 locations?
Yes, yeah. So, you know, stop in, check us out, man. You know, Kinship, you see Trey's shirt, you know, nice.
Check out this shirt.
You got the apparel, you know.
Is yours same?
You know,
Mine-
Frank got one of the old
yes.
schools, you know, look, 2017.
Look, camera at me. There we go.
Can this only be bought in the shop or online as well?
Yeah. We have an online store too. They can check it out, and you know, we got.
Speaking of online, one of the last questions. How important do you think social media is for barbers today?
Man, I feel you know, social media now is a game changer. You know, when I first started, you know, I really never used social media like that. You know, we normally built from the inside out, basically. Like, it's more like word of mouth, and you know, people just recommending people. So that's how we got a lot of people. Like, if you come into like our shop, 9 out of 10 you might bump, like, our clientele is gonna bump into somebody that they know. You know, it's like that. It's like a community, you could say. So I never really promoted like that to get, you know, people in there. It's more like, I don't know. I don't want to be biased. I just feel like we're special. You know, like, we're different from other shops. You know, just the way we treat our clients, the way we act with our clients. Like, I hang out with my clients outside the shop, you know, like, I do stuff with them. Like,
He's doing this podcast with me.
yeah, I'm doing this podcast because I got yelled at a couple times. but no, like, you know, like.
I don't yell. I just very assertively tell you.
Nah, but I'm just, you know, I would say I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed to have met some, like, really dope people, and, you know, I'm glad that, you know, they let me into their homes, let me in to meet their families, you know, accepted me, you know, for me, and you know, I love them all, you know, like, you know, without them, there wouldn't be no kinship, and you know, I salute all of them.
Even the ones that come late sometimes.
Yeah, man. You used to come late all the time, but now he's been doing good because now he's a business owner. He knows. But before he owned his business, he was always late. 15
Nah, not
minutes,
always. Not
10
always.
minutes. You know, he was working third shift,
Always is a big
complaining,
word.
Like,
It
oh,
wasn't
I'm tired,
always.
I'm sleepy, you know. had a long night, stuff like that. But
I won't say that Hav was. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say that he was late. I'd be there early or on time, and that he wasn't ready. And I'm not gonna say any of that. I won't. I won't
Does it never
mention it.
happen?
never happens. So, man, never happens, man. But he would try. He try to get there like a minute early, trying to get me with the phone. But, I'll be already there. I'll be opening the door like, what you doing outside? He was like, oh, man, you're in there already? I thought I was going to get you. I was like, nah, man, I'm here.
All right, let's wrap that up, and let's go. Let's get some footage of you getting a cut.
All right, let's do it.
All right, cool.
Thanks for hanging out and watching the show. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to subscribe. With a simple click of a button, your support will help us create future content for you and others to enjoy. Let's keep this thing rolling so we can keep bringing you more stories, laughs, and maybe a little wisdom. Thanks again.